For so many musicians, the path to mastery can feel like a constant struggle, an uphill battle against our own minds. It's all too common to find ourselves trapped in the cycle of self-doubt, frustration, and performance anxiety, always striving for a perfect execution that seems just out of reach. We watch in awe as some musicians seem to learn and play with a graceful ease, and we can't help but wonder, what's the secret that these effortless performers have discovered? What are we missing in our own musical journey? Imagine a young child learning to play the piano. They approach the instrument with a sense of wonder, their fingers exploring the keys with a playful curiosity. Each new piece is an adventure, a puzzle to be solved with enthusiasm and creativity. In contrast, many adult learners find themselves weighed down by self-criticism and doubt, their joy in the learning process diminished. What if there was a way for musicians to rediscover this childlike ease, to tap into a more natural, more fluid way of engaging with their instrument and the music they love? All my life, I've been fascinated and driven to discover the answer to these questions. First of all, in my own journey as a musician, and then in my quest to figure out how to teach these qualities in a clear and structured way to my students. Over the years, I've built a clear framework for teaching these skills. I'd observed that struggling students suffered from a state of intense mental narrow focus. This narrow focus was then linked to a huge range of other related issues, such as bad posture, tension, a general lack of body awareness, difficulty with deep, engaged listening, an obsession with playing correctly rather than musically, a lack of ability to let the music flow, problems with rhythm and phrasing, performance anxiety, the list goes on and on. I'd already been using concepts and practices from neuropsychology and Buddhism as part of this framework to help my students overcome these blocks. But then I came across the book The Master and His Emissary by Iain McGilchrist. I was immediately struck by how his explanations and insights made it instantly possible to clearly explain these difficult to communicate ideas dealing with this inner mental aspect of music. At the heart of Iain McGilchrist's book is a deep exploration of the fundamental differences between the two brain hemispheres, which goes way beyond the popular fallacy of the logical left brain and the creative right brain. The tension between these differences shapes our perceptions, our interactions, and even the fabric of Western culture itself. Understanding these differences can give us profound insights into the challenges we face today, both in music and in our everyday lives. So, as we explore the ideas from this book, I encourage you to reflect on the various challenges and experiences that you've encountered in your journey as a musician. Keep these experiences in mind, as the concepts we'll explore have the power to transform the way we approach learning and performing music. In future videos, in this new series of Practical Brain Science for Musicians, we'll translate these insights into practical strategies and techniques for overcoming common obstacles and unlocking new levels of musicality. But first, let's lay the groundwork by introducing the core ideas from McGilchrist's work in this video. Although the idea of hemisphere differences has been controversial in neuroscience, with many researchers emphasizing the complex interplay and overlap of the hemisphere's functions, McGilchrist thinks that we've been looking at the brain in the wrong way. We've been obsessed with what the brain does, seeing it as a machine defined by its functions. But the real difference between the hemispheres, he suggests, lies not in what they do, but in how they do it. Each hemisphere, in a sense, generates its own version of reality based on its mode of attention. So we'll explore what these versions of reality are later in this video, but first it's important to introduce another key concept from McGilchrist's work, hemisphere dominance. So hemisphere dominance is the idea that one hemisphere can take charge in certain situations, shaping our experience of the world in a way that might be disproportionate to the task at hand. This concept has been the subject of much debate and controversy in the scientific community and has often led to controversial or overstated claims, making many experts wary of exploring this topic. The notion of hemisphere dominance has been particularly oversimplified in pop psychology, often portrayed as a simple left brain, right brain divide, where people are labelled as either logical and analytical or creative and intuitive based on which side is thought to be more dominant. This simplistic categorization really irritates many experts, as it fails to capture the complex nature of how the hemispheres interact. While there's strong evidence that certain functions are more strongly linked to one hemisphere than the other, some academics question the idea that one hemisphere can be dominant at any given moment. They point out that the hemispheres are constantly communicating and collaborating, and argue that the concept of a dominant hemisphere fails to capture the complex nature of how the hemispheres interact and collaborate. Despite this controversy, McGilchrist offers a nuanced perspective on hemisphere dominance, drawing on the concept of the winner-take-all model. He suggests that even when one hemisphere has only a slight advantage over the other in any given situation, it can take control in a way that significantly shapes our experience, while the other hemisphere's contribution is partially inhibited. This momentary imbalance may not always be ideal, as the hemisphere that takes charge may not always be the best fit for the context. So to understand the implications of this imbalance, it's crucial to grasp the fundamental differences between the two hemispheres' modes of being. The right hemisphere, as McGilchrist makes a strong case for, is intimately connected to the living, embodied world. It excels at perceiving wholes, understanding context and nuance, and appreciating the ever-changing nature of reality. It is the realm of intuition, empathy, and the visceral sense of the present moment. When we're in the right hemisphere mode of being, we experience the world as inherently meaningful, brimming with emotion and possibility. The left hemisphere, in contrast, excels at abstraction, categorization, and analysis. It takes the rich, complex input from the right hemisphere and breaks it down into manageable pieces, constructing models and theories to make sense of the world. This is the realm of language, logic, and sequential thinking. When we're in the left hemisphere mode, we experience the world as a collection of discrete, nameable, atomized parts, subject to fixed rules and categories. Now, both of these modes are essential for our functioning in the world. We need the left hemisphere's precision and analytical power, just as much as we need the right hemisphere's contextual understanding and emotional depth. However, the relationship between these hemispheres is marked by a profound asymmetry. The right hemisphere is characterized by an open-mindedness, a willingness to learn from and integrate the insights of the left hemisphere. It takes the left's abstractions and grounds them in a rich, contextual understanding of reality. In this sense, the right hemisphere provides the substance, the meaning, that makes the left hemisphere's ideas truly significant. The left hemisphere, on the other hand, can be prone to a kind of stubbornness. As it becomes more specialized and confident in its own abilities, it can start to overestimate its own capabilities and confuse its abstractions for reality itself. It can become so enamored with its own models and categories that it loses sight of the richer, more nuanced world that the right hemisphere understands. Now, this is where the asymmetry, the lack of symmetry between the two hemispheres becomes crucial. When the left hemisphere starts to dominate, unchecked by the right's wisdom, we risk losing touch with the full depth and complexity of reality. We start to mistake our maps for the territory, our theories for the living world they attempt to describe. The problem, as McGilchrist argues, is that in our modern Western culture, we've become increasingly dominated by the left hemisphere's way of seeing the world. The left hemisphere's abstract, the decontextualized understanding has been mistaken for the whole of reality, while the right hemisphere's more nuanced contextual perspective has been dismissed or suppressed. He suggests that in the course of Western history, we've seen a gradual shift towards the left hemisphere's way of understanding the world. The Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, the rise of science and technology, all these developments have privileged the abstract, the categorical, the quantifiable. The result is a kind of imbalance, a world increasingly shaped by the left hemisphere's narrow, decontextualized view, focused on manipulation and control. This imbalance manifests in a sense of fragmentation, a loss of meaning, and a disconnection from the living world. This is where the profound relevance for musicians becomes clear. So much of the struggle of learning an instrument stems from an over-reliance on the left hemisphere mode. Musicians get caught up in the details of technique, in the quest for perfection, in the rigid application of theoretical rules. They judge themselves harshly and disconnect from the embodied, emotional experience of music making. McGilchrist's framework not only provides a powerful way to understand many of the common challenges and imbalances that musicians face, but also offers strategies to overcome them, such as disconnection from the body and emotions. So the left hemisphere's tendency to be detached from embodied experience can lead musicians to play in a mechanical, unexpressive way. By cultivating the right hemisphere's connection to the body and feelings, musicians can tap into a much deeper source of musicality. Fixation on technical details over musical wholes. So the left hemisphere's focus on abstracted parts can cause musicians to get stuck in the details of technique, losing sight of the overall musical picture. The right hemisphere's ability to perceive context and wholes is essential for shaping musical phrases and conveying the architecture of a piece. Distractibility and narrow-focused over-efforting. So the left hemisphere's tendency to jump from detail to detail can manifest as distractibility in practice and physical tension from narrow, over-effortful focus. The right hemisphere's capacity for broad, sustained attention can help musicians maintain a relaxed, effortless, open awareness. Rigid adherence to rules over spontaneity. The left hemisphere's preference for fixed categories and rules can lead musicians to play in an overly controlled, inflexible way. The right hemisphere's attunement to the present moment allows for greater spontaneity and responsiveness in performance. Mechanical, decontextualized view of music. So when musicians approach their instrument and the music from the left hemisphere's mechanistic, fragmented perspective, it can lead to a sense of struggle and disconnection. By nurturing the right hemisphere's sense of music as a living relational process, musicians can find a greater ease and joy in their playing. So in future videos in this series, we'll explore all these areas and more in much more depth with practical exercises and real-life examples of how we do these things. So, of course, this is not to say that the left hemisphere's contributions are unimportant. Clearly, the technical precision, theoretical understanding, and analytical capacities it enables are crucial for musicians. The point is that they need to be integrated with and ultimately subservient to the right hemisphere's more holistic contextual understanding. The left hemisphere is a powerful tool, but it makes for a very poor master. So even if the exact details of hemispheric asymmetry are still being debated, because some of this stuff can be controversial, McGilchrist's core insight that the two hemispheres of the brain are capable of fundamentally different ways of experiencing the world, and that the balance between these modes of being can profoundly shape our perception and understanding, remains deeply valuable for musicians. By recognizing the complementary strengths of both hemispheres and working towards a more integrated approach, we can tap into new dimensions of musicality and find greater fulfillment in our musical lives. So in the coming videos, we'll dive deeper into these questions and explore practical strategies for embodying the insights of McGilchrist's work into our daily musical life. Until then, I encourage you to start noticing how you engage with music. Pay attention to moments when you might be leaning more towards analytical thinking or when you're embracing the experience more holistically. See if you can identify the shifts between these approaches in your practice, performances, or even when you're just simply listening to music. This awareness is the first step towards deep, confident musicianship. So, if you enjoyed this video, if this is useful for you, and if you'd like to be notified for when these videos come up in future, I obviously really recommend this. Please do click like, click subscribe, click on the bell icon so you know when these future videos are coming up. They really are going to be very, very practical to show you exactly how we implement these things into our practice. So at the moment, I do have some space. I have a little bit of space left in my studio for online lessons. If you're interested, there's going to be a link in the description below for how to contact me. Thanks for tuning in. Go away and do some practice or watch more of my videos. Take care. Goodbye. Have fun. Bye-bye.